welcome you all to this first that I know of debate or candidate forum for the San Ramon City Council candidates, hosted by the San Ramon Chamber of Commerce. Before we start, I'd like to recognize the sponsors of the forum, without whom we would not be able to make this free and open to the public. First of all, most importantly, Sunset Development, who has graciously allowed us to use this really beautiful space for this event. If you haven't been here before, I urge you to, either after the event, walk around outside a little bit. It's a beautiful setting. I'd also like to thank PG&E and AT&T for their generous financial support, and also Contra Costa County TV and Bruce Stam, who are providing the video and audio services. I'd also like to recognize a few elected officials who've joined us tonight. Mayor Bill Clarkson. I don't know if Harry Sachs and Dave Hudson, are you here? Either of you? Okay. Former Mayor Abram Wilson. And to benefit the Chamber, just a quick plug for the Chamber Wine and Dine, which is scheduled for October the 13th at the Crow Canyon Country Club. Tickets are on sale outside, and I urge you all to come for fine wine and dining for the low price of just $50. Tickets are available outside and also online. So, most importantly, thank you to the candidates for joining us this evening. There are 4 candidates running for 2 open seats for the San Ramon City Council. Incumbents Phil Olone and Scott Perkins. And challengers Susmita Nayak and Sabina Zafar. Council members are elected at large and serve 4-year terms. Our moderators tonight, who are also very important to us, Gina Chanel, president and publisher of DanvilleSanRamon.com and the Pleasanton Weekly, and her colleague, editor Jeb Bing. I also want to thank Cindy Alpert, who is a representative of the San Ramon chapter of the American Association of University Women, who is going to be our timekeeper, and a number of members of her AAUW group came and are helping to pass out cards. If you have questions or think of questions, raise your hand during the event, and somebody will pass you a card to write your questions, to pass them down later. So with that, I will turn it over to Gina and Jeb.
Thank you, Terry. And again, thank you to the candidates for participating in tonight's forum. This is a very important community service provided by the San Ramon Chamber of Commerce and will allow San Ramon voters to hear directly from the candidates. We will start with 2-minute opening statements from each candidate. We will then ask questions to which each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond. Cindy will signal you when you have 30 seconds remaining. We have some prepared questions, and we'll be collecting additional questions from the audience. I do already have many. If you have a question, please write it on an index card available and signal one of the volunteers so he or she can collect the card. In the interest of time, we may consolidate questions on the same subject. We will ask as many audience questions as time allows, but please understand that we will not be able to ask every question. After the questioning period, each candidate will have 3 minutes for closing statements. Out of respect for the candidates and others, let's all agree that the audience be polite, attentive, and as quiet as possible. No cheering, booing, distractions, outbursts, please. So let's get started. Let's start with the 2-minute opening statements. And Susmita, we'll start with you.
Hello, good evening everyone. Thanks for having me here. And I'm Susmita Nayak, running for San Ramon City Council. We need new leaders with new ideas who can represent San Ramon and who can protect our quality of life for all our residents. I am a person of integrity with high values, passionate, bold, compassionate, collaborative, and decisive. And basically, I am running to get a lot of value addition to the team. As a woman's perspective with diversity, it will add value addition to the chamber. So apart from that, something regarding me. Well, I am here in United States for around 15 years. I'm a citizen, having born and raised in India and staying here in United States for last 15 years. And in San Ramon, it's been around more than 10 years. And I'm married and have 2 kids who are going to the school district of San Ramon. I am an engineer, having around 12 years of industrial experience. I have done my bachelor's in electrical engineering. And I would definitely like to have your support to make this city more prosperous and making it more convenient and approachable for everyone to reach, so that more collaborations and open door government, having lots of innovative ideas we can share and we can work together and make this San Ramon the best city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. San Ramon's a great place to live. It's safe, it's family supportive, and it's well run. My wife and I have proudly raised our children here. My goals as your representative are to promote public safety, protect your tax dollars, and preserve open spaces. Together as a council and a city, we've made great strides. This is one of the safest cities in the country. It's the safest small city in California in terms of crime rates. We've invested in our 9/11 response systems and have actually saved lives when that program went online with the fire department. Protecting your tax dollars, we've improved the city budget. We cut $2.5 million of expenses out of the budget on an annual basis. We've reformed our employee pensions, built a new city hall, have remodeled and are expanding our current library. We've maintained $25 million emergency reserves. We've repaved miles and miles of roads, spent almost $25 million repaving roads in the last 5 years. We've got 60+ parks that we're maintaining. We've added parks in the last few years. We've done all this without adding any debt to the city. During my tenure, we've seen renewed dedication to limiting unwanted development and preserving our open spaces. We worked closely with East Bay Parks to preserve 433 acres on the west side. I worked closely with the community on the east side to stop a cemetery project that we felt was ill-advised. We've got over $3 million in open space fees set aside, and we've also, I've opposed any extensions or exceptions to San Ramon's urban growth boundary. I'm appreciative of many accomplishments. I believe there's still many challenges ahead of us. Please know that if re-elected, I will continue my work to represent you and the values we share. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out tonight. San Ramon is the best city in the state, possibly the nation. In the last 60 days, 4 media groups have named San Ramon either first, second, or third best city to live in. We are the safest city in California with a population over 50,000. We are the 6th safest city in the United States. Financially, we are AAA rated by Standard & Poor's. We have a 75% operating reserve. We have more parks and parkland per capita than any city in California. We have the best schools in California for districts with more than 10,000 students. You might find a city with 1 or 2 of these attributes that are similar and possibly better, but nowhere will you find a place with this combination of safety, parks, schools, solid finances, and open space. No place is better. This doesn't happen by accident. It takes a thoughtful and engaged city council, one that listens to the residents and businesses and acts with good, sound judgment that comes from experience. And it takes a great city staff, one that really cares about San Ramon. But we're not done. We are going to be even better. Here are some of the ways we will get better in my vision of San Ramon. We will improve our retail and restaurant scene. With the new city center in Bishop Ranch as the centerpiece, we will create a new walking district that will include BR 2600 and the lake, the shops at San Ramon, Phase 2 of the City Center project, Central Park and City Hall, the newly renovated main library and marketplace shopping centers. We will create a very walkable shopping center at the south end of Dougherty Valley near the Dougherty Station Community Center. We will create language in our zoning ordinance that protects restaurants from conversion to non-retail space. I don't want to lose Chili's to Schwab's again. Schwab's is a good company, but you can't eat there. We'll reduce traffic congestion, build the Iron Horse Trail over crossings at Bollinger and Crow Canyon. This will improve circulation and safety. I have more ideas, but they only give me 2 minutes. Those are the most important. San Ramon is a great place to live, and we have a lot to be thankful for, but we can be much more.
Good evening. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank Jeb and Gina for moderating this forum. I want to thank AAUW, and I want to thank all the other candidates for participating. And thank you, San Ramon, for being here today. I come from a family of public servants, and I have raised my 19 and 14-year-old in San Ramon. I have been working in technology all my life, and currently work with some of the leading technology companies in the country. Currently, I'm also serving on the San Ramon Valley Transportation Advisory Committee, where I've been working to reduce our local traffic congestion. I am proud to call San Ramon my home. And while I'm grateful for my community, I also understand that while there's much to be proud of, there are so many more things that the City Council needs to do to improve our quality of life while protecting our tax dollars, keeping us safe, and helping San Ramon thrive. On the City Council, I will ensure to bring more transparency and inclusion in our local government. I will use my experience as a working parent in Silicon Valley to spearhead solving commute issues, so you can spend more time with your family and with your friends instead of being on the road. I will boost incentives to nurture and grow local businesses and innovation hubs, promote arts and culture to bridge our diverse community, and be an advocate for better youth facilities. I am passionate about San Ramon and the people of San Ramon, and I'm very excited at the opportunity to work hard and have a positive impact to make it an even better place to live. San Ramon is no longer a village. It is a city of 78,000 citizens. And it is time for a leadership that will take the city into the future.
Thank you, Sabina.
Thank you.
Thank you. I forgot to warn you about that. Okay, Judd, you have our first question? And we'll start with Phil.
You've been talking about finances, and Phil, city expenditures have been growing faster than revenues. Sales tax revenue has been lower than budget estimates in recent years and is expected to decrease this fiscal year. We acknowledge the hope the city center will bring in much needed sales tax revenue, but that could be years from now. What would you do to change that trend now?
Change the trend of revenue, are you saying?
Decreased sales tax revenue.
Okay. Well, the sales tax revenue is a very jumpy item. Has to do with, for instance, businesses making large purchases one year and not in the next. It's been an ongoing problem in San Ramon because of the way the city was designed. Frankly, we don't have car dealerships. We don't have a tremendous amount of retail. We have a lot of retail that's actually going to be coming online in another year and a half. What has gone up dramatically is, in fact, our property tax revenues. So we've had to be prudent about how we spend our money, how we project it, and actually on an overall basis, we're doing okay financially. We've got a $25 million reserve, and I think that's a significant amount of work that's done by the council to actually address that issue. Sales tax are always going to be jumpy. It's an inevitable part of how California actually finances or does it. The price of gas dropping is wonderful for all of us except for the city. So that was another major source of sales tax dropping. So to the extent that we can get people to buy their gas in San Ramon, that would be a nice thing. But I think the city center project is actually going to have a significant impact, and we've got to weather the storm between now and then.
Scott, do you want to tackle that one?
Thank you. Phil and I sit on the finance committee, so we discuss these things on a regular basis. We recently received an unaudited statement that our reserves are now approaching $32 million. We ran about a $3 million surplus last year. That's revenues in excess of expenses at the end of the year. Those are unaudited numbers, but we expect them to hold pretty close to that. As Phil said, the sales tax revenue is very inconsistent. It's very lumpy because of the business-to-business portion. The consumer portion follows the national trends and the state trends. But when somebody sells a very, very large piece of equipment and the point of sale is in San Ramon, we get a big jump in sales tax in that quarter. But the following quarter, that doesn't exist. So we don't try and base our overall budgets looking forward to these inconsistent sales tax revenues. We look at larger trend lines that go back. We have a sales tax consultant that helps us estimate what our future is, but the property taxes are a much bigger piece, and those are a very solid trend. Those move fairly gently, and we've been looking at 7% year-over-year increases in our property taxes.
Sabina, reflected to the council, what would you do about decreasing sales tax revenue?
So I don't know how many of you know that we don't get all the tax dollars from Bishop Ranch. We share that with the county. So San Ramon doesn't get, if we do have the city center that is built, we're not going to get all the taxes from it. So what we need to invest is in our local strip malls that we already have and revive those areas. We need to attract businesses there. We need to rebuild those areas, and we need to make those better centers of community gathering, not only to bring people together, but to raise our taxes and bring taxes from businesses that we should be able to attract and not businesses leave our city. The other thing is we do not have innovation hubs in San Ramon. So if somebody starts their startup in San Ramon, in their garage, they don't have anywhere to take it in the city. We as a city are not offering those companies to grow and then build in San Ramon. So the two things I really want to focus on is reclaiming the already existing 6 or 7 strip malls that we have and building those out so that we can attract businesses. And the second part is attracting, building innovation hubs so that startups that grow in San Ramon thrive in San Ramon, and we get those tax dollars later on. Thank you.
Mrs. Mina, what's your response to the question?
Yeah, I agree with everyone that sales tax is not in our control, but yes, we do get property tax, that is the highest one. And what is in our control is like we can promote more small business with innovations. We can encourage our residents to come forward, because there are lots of talents in San Ramon residents who need little bit of initiation, trigger, so that they can get lots of ideas. For example, we have a traffic congestion issue currently, and we are going for a lot of things like whether it is public transportation and a lot of bike sharing and all those things. So these ideas, Chamber of Commerce can ask other community, in the sense our community, to see what they can bring to the table, whether it is some kind of scooters. It is something very new, but bike sharing has been working well, And there are a lot of other ideas where we can get lots of revenue, because small business is the backbone of our city, and we need to work with each other to make our city more prosperous, and we can encourage our residents for that. So involvement, encouragement, and basically collaboration, all these things comes into picture. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the second question, we are going to start with Scott. In 2015, the city pulled out of Visit Tri-Valley Tourism Marketing Organization and established its own Tourism Bureau Improvement District, a TBID, to create its own Tourism and Visitors Bureau. What is the city's role in the development of this entity? What part does the city council play?
Almost 2 years ago, the City Council evaluated our participation in Visit Tri-Valley. Through the hotels that are located here in San Ramon, we were contributing almost $500,000 to Visit Tri-Valley. We could identify only less than $100,000 of benefit back to the city and its hotels and restaurants. Most of the money was being spent to promote the wineries and event centers in Pleasanton and Dublin, and the big outlet mall. So we felt that we could have a much better control if the Tourism Bureau was brought into the city. Now, the board of directors of that is made up of the hotels and the tourism industry in San Ramon. San Ramon has one advisor on the committee, but we don't control that committee. It's up to the hotels and our own tourism group to maintain that and move it forward. I've been very frustrated that it hasn't moved forward quicker, and I look forward to what they can do. But as of this time, they haven't done a lot, and the city doesn't have any direct control.
Thank you. Sabina?
So I would absolutely engage and use that money. Like I said, my vision is to have centers of community gathering and use that money to build those centers so that if we do attract, something that Danville's done, right? You do attract people to your restaurants when you have something which looks good, which people like to shop and dine in. Right now, all our tax dollars are leaving San Ramon because nobody has anywhere to go in San Ramon. We either go to Danville or we go to Pleasanton. So we need to take that money, engage with that group over there, and make sure that we are using it to the advantage of building a local town, San Ramon, and our community, gathering places. And I travel a lot, and some of the amazing things which Irvine has done in terms of reclaiming those. So the vision is there, the ideas are there. We need to take those and use that money for our city and for our advantage. Thank you.
Thank you. Sabina?
Hello. Yeah. I am kind of more of a favor of open space with sustainable growth. In that, I see the hotel. This is a beautiful place, but how many people will be turning out to come to San Ramon for visiting? It will be mostly the nearby communities, nearby cities, and there are events definitely. I know a couple of events in which lots of people travel from all around the US to visit one ashram here in Crow Canyon, and they do spend money, efforts, and some days. But we need to make a good judgment whether we need to go for building hotels to make revenue for 2-3 times a year, or we should spend it judicially with other priorities, because as a council member, we need to be a good fiscal accountability. We should have that. So there are other priorities where we see like traffic mitigation. For that, what are things we can do? And I'm seeing that already our city is working traffics, and all those initiatives are great, because maximum traffic is from the school going kids and stuff. So it's great. So to answer that, yes, I would say we need to see that, and we have to buy in from the community what they see.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
thank
Phil?
you.
The T-bid is not San Ramon's money. San Ramon does not control it. San Ramon cannot spend it. San Ramon is the conduit for the money. It's $1 a night in hotel tax that goes into a fund that's controlled by the hoteliers with the specific purpose of promoting, amongst other things, hotel room occupancy and tourism in San Ramon. We don't control it. We aren't going to be able to use it for open space, and we certainly aren't going to be able to use it for improving a strip mall. What we can do is bring ideas to the T-bid board. An idea I've had, I have to actually give my wife credit for part of this, is that there's a large youth cricket association throughout the United States. And I've suggested to Sridhar, the man who actually founded the cricket club, that we should get the T-bid to help host the West Coast Youth Cricket Association's annual tournament. It's a national tournament. It was held in Chicago 6 months ago. This is the kind of thing where you come with ideas after you actually understand how the money moves around. And I connected Sridhar with the chair of the committee. It's a way of actually bringing weekend revenue to the hoteliers, which is what they need. The hotels are occupied during the week, they aren't on the weekend. That's one idea.
Thank you.
Sabrina, we'll start with you. Let's talk traffic. What approaches should the city pursue for reducing traffic congestion, and making San Ramon more pedestrian and bicycle friendly?
So I think the first thing we need to do to control and help with the commute and the traffic is go out to Silicon Valley and have those conversations and spearhead what we're calling smart growth cities now, which is making sure people work and live and play in their own cities. Having conversations and talking to Silicon Valley about a work-life balance, letting citizens work from home, and talking about not just, we have conversations around parental and maternity leaves, but now we need to talk about parents that need to be here in the city, in their children's lives. So they're not thinking, sitting there on 680 wondering what their teenager is doing, sitting at home by themselves, or they need to make it home by 6:30. So one of the things that is, that I really want to do is have those conversations and see how we can get more people to work from San Ramon and in San Ramon, right? The other thing is that how do we promote local business? How do we promote local, hubs of innovation? So that people, when they build their startups, they have somewhere that they build in San Ramon, and then they're hiring local San Ramon. So how do we incentivize companies to, have satellite offices in San Ramon, let people, work in San Ramon and build our businesses in San Ramon? So those are some of the ideas I have about helping with the commute. Thank you.
So Sabrina, can you respond to that?
Yeah, can I get the question? Is that related to traffic mitigation?
What can you do about it?
Okay, so basically for traffic mitigation, I would say that we need to encourage people to use the public transportations, county connections, BART, and everything. Related to that, we have traffics already there, that is for the school kids. We have to encourage them for congestion relief, cleaner air, and balanced quality time and family and work. That comes when people here, they use the BART, and I know lots of people, they have parking lot issues, or they do want to go and take the BART, but the parking is a big issue. So we need to have some solution, innovative ideas to increase the parking space, or sharing, carpooling, ride and share, and there are Uber, pick me up, so many things are there. And one more good initiative has just happened. Yesterday I read that there was a connection between BART and ACE, and it will go till Livermore. So that will encourage more of the people to avoid 580, it's very congested and people really get tired. So all these initiatives are great, and there is another thing if we go for electric thing, because in UCLA we just got the news that they have gone for clean fuel, which the transportation is electric. So yeah, those things help. Thank you.
And Phil, your comments on traffic and bicycle safety.
Thank you. First of all, we have done a fair amount in the city to improve traffic. For one thing, we've invested heavily in our roads, and there are a lot of potholes around town. We've invested heavily in a smart traffic management system that actually reads the traffic and moves what is a great deal of traffic down Bollinger and Crow in a fairly efficient fashion, even at rush hour. You see impacts of this when it's not working properly, for instance, when it's foggy early in the morning. We also have worked closely with Bishop Ranch here to help them do experimental autonomous vehicles, driverless vehicles here in Bishop Ranch. Big challenge of public transportation is, in fact, that last half mile or so, and that'll feed passengers from the traffic center here to from the transportation center to a given office. We're in the second phase of the project to get Iron Horse overcrossing, which I think will improve bicycle capabilities. And we have a plan for a number of bikeways in the community that you'll start seeing the green paint on the roads. So I think we've done a lot in that regard. Iron Horse Trail improvements have also helped the bicyclists and the pedestrians.
And Scott?
San Ramon obviously lives in a world that we aren't isolated from everybody else. We live in a world that we're connected to everybody, and I-680 and I-580 tend to be our connections. As Phil mentioned, we spent over $2 million on Crow Canyon and Bollinger Canyon on an approved signal system that places a heavy emphasis on the through traffic during those heavy business hours. In my vision, we're going to get an improved I-680 on-ramp, particularly for the westbound lanes. You'll see that backs up in the morning, that backs up in the evening. We've got to improve that. The Iron Horse Trail overcrossings, if we can get bicycles and pedestrians to cross over those two streets, they won't push the button and bring all the traffic to a halt. The autonomous vehicles in the Bishop Ranch area will also help. They'll bring the buses, will come into the transit center. The autonomous vehicles will take them then to their business. The bike master plan, we've just got about $170,000 to improve our bike master plan. As Phil mentioned, we're going to be having green lanes. We've got a lot to work on. We're just embarking on what that bike master plan will look like. If you have ideas, bring them to us. I sit on the Tri-Valley Transportation Council, and we have millions of dollars that we put into projects. The auxiliary lanes that went from here to Danville, that widened the road, came from our Tri-Valley Transportation Council. And we're also got plans for improving the I-580, 680 overpass and intersection.
Thank you very much. So that ends our prepared questions, and I wanted to start with the audience questions. And I received quite a few about this topic, and I tried to bring an overarching question to the candidates. And so Smita, we'll start with you. What is your position on rezoning San Ramon Golf Club from golf course agriculture to residential, which will allow the owner to build houses on a portion of the land, and why do you feel that way?
Well, I'm with the people of San Ramon that I do not want the San Ramon golf course to be given to the developers, greedy developers, for turning into some high-rise buildings. So I would definitely like to see that open space for our residents, whether it is golf course or it can be turned into park or anything. The option depends on the council members. There is another option if they can buy it, or the other options, but definitely open space is the thing, and we should not encourage the greedy developers to take that beautiful piece of land. Thank you.
Phil?
So there's a couple of issues here. One, If one is a seated council member and you're asked a question about something that's going to come before you in the future, you can actually get kicked off the decision-making in the long run. So I will ask this in a, I wouldn't say circumspect way, but I'll ask it in a studied way, because that's actually how one has to view something like this. Just like if one were going before a judge and the judge gave his opinion of your lawsuit before you started, that would not be a good thing. Having said that, this is also a political environment. So here's the thing. I was on the Planning Commission when we changed the zoning to a golf course. I like to play golf. I have open space aspirations. I like green spaces. This is, we have a general plan that requires a 4/5 vote of a planning commission and a 4/5 vote of the city council before a change can be made. And someone actually has to bring a proposal forward with an environmental impact report and CEQA documents before the planning commission even considers it. This is a 2 to 3 year process. I like the zoning the way it is presently, but it's a long, involved process. So I hope you can understand my position.
Thank you. And Scott?
Phil's absolutely correct. We've discussed this with our city attorney, and council members must be very careful about making decisions outside the public hearing process. Every applicant and every citizen has the right to have a fair and impartial hearing, and it is not proper for us to make decisions before we have that public hearing, before the information is before us, before we have the CEQA documents and others. I was on the city council when we voted for the land use designation of golf course. That was the right decision at that time. I still believe that it is correct at this time. And last, I'd like to say, I pledge I will not abstain from voting on this issue.
Thank you. Sabina?
So I am absolutely not for rezoning, and any change to the rezoning general plan of San Ramon should go back to the voters, and it should be voted on. That's what should be done, period. That's my stance.
Okay. And Susmita? Oh, we started with you, didn't we? Okay. Sorry about that. Jen?
We'll start this one with you, Phil. BART does not have tracks running through San Ramon. So what's your position on the $3.5 billion BART bond that we're going to face on November 8th?
It's an interesting San Ramon question. BART's I commute to downtown Oakland. When BART's not working well, my life does not go well from 7 to 8:30 in the morning and from 5 till 6 in the evening. BART is a community enterprise. Its governance is always in question, but we need BART and we need more of BART. We have connections to BART. I wish buses went every 5 minutes to BART and Walnut Creek. My life would be a lot easier.
Scott?
One of the things that concerns me about the BART bond is currently BART uses $150 million a year of their operating funds to fund capital projects. There is nothing in this BART bond that would require that they maintain that $150 million a year of general fund money going to capital projects. They could, in fact, divert $150 million that they were putting into capital projects and put it into operating expenses to pay salaries, to pay maintenance costs on brakes and electronics, to pay pensions, to pay other things like that. So this is kind of disguised as a way to increase their operating funds by putting out to the public that they're going to sell $3.5 billion in bonds.
Sabina?
So I have been taking BART for the last 10 years. I don't know what my life would be without BART, but I'm also one of those people, like a lot of us, who get to BART after 7:30 as there's no parking at all. If you want to get a pass, you're probably 1,500 on the list or something like that. And there's two, BARTs 5 minutes away from each other. And it's ridiculous. What I've been working on the Transportation Committee is, we just heard about the County Connection. The County Connection runs through Doherty Valley, and it runs every 30 minutes. What I am really pushing for is to have that bus line up with the BART schedule. If we vote on that BART bond, we are an artery city. And I've talked to people who are running on the board and, or are on the board, and they're very interested in working with cities and sharing some of those funds if you become an artery city into the BART itself. So I think it would be beneficial for everybody. Like, I wish we had two BARTs that were running. Thank you.
Sabrina, what's your position on the BART bond?
Yeah, BART is very convenient for most of the people, irrespective of San Ramon, and I would encourage people to go invest in BART, actually the bond. But prior to that, we need to make sure that people have accessibility to BART, whether it is county connections or shuttle service, some kind of service we need to provide them so that when they come out and go to their main street, they can get that shuttle service so that they can go to the BART, because now we know that the parking issue is a big problem. Even when we design and some have plans whether to make it multi-story parking lots or some innovative ideas, still it will take time. So still our BARTs are not completely filled, whatever we have invested. So we have to involve the group, our community, encourage them to take shuttles or county connections, make it frequent, and first see that the maximum capacity is utilized by the current BART, and thereon we can go with our planning and fine-tuning all the things. So that is my take, because definitely investing a lot of money, and if people are not using it, they have still the parking issues and other things, then it doesn't work. So we have to take the buy-in of our residents. Collaboration is the key. Thank you.
Okay. Scott starts this one, right? Yes. Okay, thank you. You figured out the pattern. I've been reading questions. Okay, the Doherty Valley trees. We know the situation there. Who will pay for this? And what will you do to make sure residents of San Ramon don't bear the entire cost?
We've discussed this in great detail with our attorney about how we could possibly go back to the county or back to the developers. And there is no path that allows us to recoup costs from the county or from the developers. The citizens of San Ramon, through our own taxes, will have to pay for those trees. It was extraordinarily bad design on the part of the county and the developers to put very large trees in very narrow mow strips. It was unconscionable, and anybody that's decent in the landscape business should know better than to do that. But the fact of the matter is that it's going to cost us, it could be as much as $10 million. We have to still do the studies that will tell us in more detail how much it'll cost. It will take an EIR or an EIS or some other CEQA document, something like that, before we are allowed to go and do this in wholesale manner. Right now we are just doing it piecemeal as we have a problem with some utilities or we have some pavement or sidewalk problems. We're putting about $300,000 into it this year, but it's going to have to grow. And there is no recourse back through the county or through the developers.
Thank you. Sabina?
I just want to know how many voters in San Ramon are aware that we're going to spend $10 million to pull out trees and replace them? That's my question too. I wasn't aware. That's a lot of money without putting it in front of the voters, without taking it to the city. And that's an issue with transparency. That's an issue with engagement. It happens to us every time. 15 days before a road closure happens or 10 million of our dollars are spent to pull out trees and replaced, we find out about these things. So I have the same question. Where is that 10 million going to come from? And how are we going to take care of it?
Thank you. Susmita?
My take is the developers, they have to be responsible because they are the one who are putting all these trees, and they should have a foresight, whatever they are doing, whether it is planting trees, the sycamore trees are pretty vast, which might affect the electric board, construction, or water panels, or anything. So whenever they are doing, it is their duty to clean up. So I believe when the small plant grows to a big tree and they do not have that foresight that it might obstruct anything, and city needs to spend $10 million rerouting all the things, then it is not fair. So we have to, in future, we can place some kind of policy where we mention that whatever, whether it is cases like trees or any of the things, when it gets affected, it's their responsibility to fix it, and it's not the city's responsibility. And we have to choose the developers and mention that they are doing all the work for the quality of life standards for the residents, and we are not going to pay such a heavy amount, which is the tax our residents are paying, and it's definitely not a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Could you repeat the question, Gina, please?
Doherty Valley trees, we know the situation. Who will pay for this? What will you do to make sure residents of San Ramon will not bear the entire cost?
Okay, first of all, I'll answer the question. I won't ask a question. This is a problem that's long in the making. One of the fundamental issues we're dealing with here in terms of who's responsible is that per the Doherty Valley Agreement, the city annexed neighborhoods as they came online. Had a 1-year warranty period, then the city annexed the neighborhood, effectively accepting an as-is situation. There isn't, our city attorney is an expert in land use, there really isn't any recourse to the developer. That ship sailed 10 years ago. This is a problem. Part of what this is also is I don't think there's one blanket solution to this. We have a nice tree in front of our house. I think there might be, I have no interest in a great deal of the tree canopy going away. I think what we need to do is look at things like flexible sidewalks and things like that that have actually been installed that seem to work to accommodate the trees. We also need to have some drip irrigation put in that can be put in over time. And I don't know if the problem's 10 million. Right now we're going through an assessment, but I understand the concerns about how much is involved. I don't think there's a ready solution in front of us at this point, but I also don't think that anybody who is paying attention in terms of our council meetings, etc., wasn't aware that we talked about this a bunch. You could see the tree roots, etc., being on the podium on a regular basis for the last 3 years when Parks talked about it.
Thank you, Phil. Okay, Judd?
Sabina, we have a question here about Norris Canyon Estates. Should it be annexed? If so, why is the process started? And if no, why?
So Norris Canyon, I think it should be annexed so that we get the tax dollars from there. We're already providing them services whenever they need police or they need fire or anything. San Ramon provides that service, so it's just fair that we get the revenue from those houses. That's what my stance is on it.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Jasmina?
Norris Canyon Annex, actually, I'm sorry, I do not know. So it's easy to say yes, but still, yeah. Could you please explain it, what exactly it is?
Well, should it be annexed? And
Okay.
If so, why do you think the process hasn't started yet? If you don't think it should be annexed, why not?
Can you please, yeah.
Norris Canyon Estates.
Norris Canyons. The Farea project are you mentioning? Okay, so yes, that housing project, lots of people are very, very upset. We could have done much better. Basically, it's going to add around 14,000 residents for 612 units. So I would say that steady growth, sustainable in the sense rational growth is okay, but we don't have yet plans for the traffic mitigation in that area, and such a big units is really congested, and one of the school is there, and they do have affordable 100 units of affordable housing over there, but still we could have done much better in terms of dust mitigations, the constructions, lightnings, and a lot of good plannings. Unless we get the buy-in and we get an alternate routes for the traffic mitigation and with the people, they are very, very upset. So I won't, if it would have been me staying as a resident near the Norris Canyon, I would not have approved. So thank you.
Thanks.
Phyllis, before city staff, what's your position?
So Norris Canyon Estates is a gated community that's outside of San Ramon. One of the things that I mentioned in my opening remarks is that working with East Bay Parks acquired basically the open space between San Ramon and Norris Canyon Estates. That actually creates a potential opportunity that might make annexation of interest. We don't operate the fire department, so the fire department gets the taxes regardless. However, as people who have dealt with the county in the past know, just because the county gets the property taxes doesn't mean when you annex it that the county's going to magically say, "Oh, great, here you go, you can have them all." But it may be an opportunity. The thing about annexing is that there's potential unintended consequences. LAFCO oversees annexations and could possibly actually say, well, if you're doing that, then we want you to consider annexing other areas that I might not have interest in annexing. So it'd have to be very well laid out, very thoughtful, but it's an intriguing idea that's worth exploring because it's an already built out community, and they are certainly using our police are responding occasionally to that.
And Scott, your position?
Norris Canyon Estates is outside our city limits, and we do not provide services to them. The police services come from the sheriff's office. Planning services come from the county. So all the services are actually coming from outside the city. We don't provide it right now. But as Phil mentioned, there is an opportunity if we were to annex some of the East Bay Parks land into the city limits, and then we subsequently could ask the residents of Norris Canyon Estates to hold an election whether they wanted to be annexed into the city. It's up to them. We can't unilaterally annex them, even with LAFCO's support. It's up to the residents. There could be some advantages for them. They would then get their city services or their municipal services from the city of San Ramon, police services, planning services, building permits, all those things. But it would be up to the residents of Norris Canyon Estates if they wanted to pursue that as well.
Okay. Unfortunately, I think this marks the end of our questioning period. Each candidate will now have up to 3 minutes to provide closing comments about themselves, the city, and what they will do if they are elected. And we will start with Sabina.
Thank you. So when I moved to San Ramon with a 4 and a 9-year-old in tow, I didn't have a house. I didn't have a job. But what I did have was a determination to give my children the best education and a great life. Looking back, I could not have made a better decision. San Ramon as my home has given me a lot. My family, my friends, my neighbors, the wonderful schools, the PTA family, my Girl Scouts family, and my Rotary family. And I have built a good life for my children and myself. But the same opportunities that were available to me are not going to be available to my children. They couldn't afford to move back to San Ramon or find a job here. And now it is my time to give back, to make sure that our children have that opportunity in San Ramon. San Ramon has great schools, beautiful, safe neighborhoods. But as my children have grown, so has the city, to be the 4th largest city in Contra Costa County. I am running because I want to be a voice on the city council. Because I want more transparency and inclusion in government. We need to know where our tax dollars are being spent. And when something like a road closes, we need a bit of a heads up instead of a 30-day notice. I'm running because San Ramon needs to spearhead your commute issues. I am running because our teenagers are hanging out at parking lots. Because we as a city are not thinking about the 12,000 plus teenage population that doesn't want the 67 parks. I am running because we need to focus on reclaiming our existing blocks and turning them into community gathering spaces. I am running because I want to strengthen the relationship between the diverse voices of our community. As a leader in our community, I serve on the City of San Ramon Valley Transportation Advisory Committee. I'm a member of the Doherty Valley San Ramon Rotary. I have been an active member of the PTA and a Girl Scout troop leader. Today, I'm running for the City Council to continue my engagement in the community and to lead San Ramon into the future. I have been endorsed by leaders like former Assembly Member Joan Buchanan, and various other community leaders have come together to offer their support because they see that I have a finger on the pulse of this community.
Thank you, Sabina.
And I hope you will entrust me with that responsibility on November 8th. Thank you.
Susmita?
Hello. Yeah, as your representative for the City Council,
Your mic is not working.
thank you. As your representative for the City Council, I will be the voice for all and an advocate for our city to help improve our quality of life. I will do my best to protect and serve the interest of our families, our children, and our seniors. Having good problem-solving skills and I think out of the box and have the ability to get things done for the right cause without getting influenced by any external factors. So, and there are lots of visions. Some of the visions I would like to share is first is the traffic mitigation. We all know that we need to make it happen for our residents, whether it is public transportations or sharing bikes, carpooling and all these things. We need to reach out to our residents, engage them and get them going. And second, for that we need open door government and collaboration. So when we address their issues and concerns, and even if it is a difficult situation, we get the buy-in, so they are with us, and with all their innovative ideas, we can move forward. And open space with rational, sustainable growth is another thing. And finally, doing the fiscal accountability, because we need to see how we can plan and prioritize all the things for our community, which is very essential. And as a representative, I'm planning to do all that. And please vote for me on November 8th and let me be your voice and represent this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil?
I've served on this council for almost 5 years now. I've learned a great deal. I learned a great deal when I was on the Planning Commission and asked to lead the Planning Commission. Some of the things that I brought to the council were a business person's view of things. A specific area that I helped change was we had a self-funded health insurance plan that was $500,000 in the hole. I pushed to get us out of that. We've taken some really good strides in terms of squeezing expenses out of the budget over the course of time, thoughtfully. We reformed pensions. You don't hear the Cocoa Times complaining about San Ramon and its pensions. We've almost fully funded our retiree health care benefits. These are not simple things to do. They don't happen overnight. They build with a vision. This is the safest city in California, the safest small city in California. Money Magazine has said we're the best city in California. We regularly win awards. I don't think we need to change direction. We did do some pivoting when I came aboard. We had a much better focus on open space preservation. We formed an open space advisory committee, and we actually got money put to that to leverage with partners to be able to actually permanently acquire open space on both sides of the community. We've put a lot of energy and effort into moving traffic. We've invested in things in the Doherty Valley to make things safer for pedestrians and to move traffic around in the Doherty Valley more effectively. We've been extremely transparent. The budget's available at the community center and it's available at the library. You can just go look. City finances are complicated. That's because they're complicated. But the finance directors are regularly available to meet with people if they're interested. So fundamentally, I focused on three things, as I said: safety, finances, and open space. We've expanded our reserves. We have a safe city. We've added another beat out in the Doherty Valley to make things safer. But what you also have to have as a community leader is actually a vision that people can understand. And what my view is that in 50 years, people are going to look around here and go, who saved that? Who did that? And it's going to be us. I've led in terms of open space preservation. It's a major quality of life issue in this area. And I think with another term on the council, I think we can actually get it done. We can permanently preserve our green spaces on both sides of town. I've been a member of Save Mount Diablo's Lands Committee as well, and I understand this process. It's not simple, but we can partner with people and actually get it done. We have a city center that's about to go live, and I'm very excited about that as well. I think we have great opportunities, we have challenges, we have common values wherever we came from. We came here for the same reasons. Please vote for me on November 8th, or even earlier than that. And I'm Phil O'Lone. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. And Scott.
Thank you. You've heard us talk today about all kinds of issues facing San Ramon. This is a great place to live. We know it, and others know it. But we're not done. We can get better. We can improve the quality of life in San Ramon. This takes solid, experienced leadership with the time to devote to the job of leading, listening, and learning. I've served my nation. For 34 years, I served in the United States Navy, and not long ago, I retired as a U.S. Navy captain. I serve my community. I am also a member of the Doherty Valley San Ramon Rotary Club. I founded Boy Scout Troop 84 in 1988, and I still serve as an assistant scoutmaster and advisor, and I've been the advisor to all 98 Eagle Scouts that troop has produced. I have served on the City Council for nearly 13 years, from the very difficult times in 2003 and through the Great Recession. We've weathered some tough times and come out really well. San Ramon wasn't always the best place to live in California, or even the East Bay. When we moved here, when my wife and I moved here in 1980, this was unincorporated county land. We had only 2 parks and 5 elementary schools. We now have 12 elementary schools and 60 parks. My wife Elizabeth and I have raised 4 children here in San Ramon. They all went to our schools: Neil Armstrong, Pine Valley, Cal High. They've all graduated, and they're all on their own living. They've learned valuable lessons here. We got this way because of the vision of our former leaders. They chose to incorporate and take charge of our destiny. We can follow the legacy of those dedicated leaders. But to do so, we need leaders that are dedicated to San Ramon. That's dedicated to San Ramon. Leaders dedicated to the quality of life here. Leaders that have a vision for the future. You've heard about my vision that will move us into a new level of community and quality of life. A vision includes better retail and restaurants and in a walking district. A vision includes great shopping in Dougherty Valley and a new shopping center. A vision that reduces traffic congestion at Bollinger and Crow Canyon. We also have some areas that I know we can improve on. I look forward to hearing from you about areas where we can make other improvements. This election is only a few weeks away, and I know all of us will be glad when it's over for a lot of reasons. Your vote for local leaders has a greater effect on your quality of life than the U.S. Senator, Congressman, or even state office. All politics is local. Your vote does count. I've been endorsed by Congressman Eric Swalwell, Democrat, State Senator Steve Glazer, Democrat, Assemblywoman Catherine Baker, Republican. I ask you vote for me on November 8th. Vote for leadership, service, and experience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you to the candidates for taking the time to share your views and help us better understand your positions. Thank you all for coming as interested citizens, and be sure to vote on November 8th. And thank you to the San Ramon Chamber of Commerce and Sunset Development, and Gina, Chanel, and Jeff.
I think we also wanted to say that CCTV has recorded this, and you can check their website to see when this will be aired. Thank you again, and vote on November 8th or earlier. Wait. Can we get you all together?